Welcome to the morning nerdy news. I'm your host, Gray Falcon. I'm just going to give everyone an update. We are going to start moving the morning nerdy news back a half an hour, so 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. We're doing this because so much news just seems to pop up at 9 o'clock in the morning, especially over on the PlayStation blog and Xbox Wire. I'm going to go ahead and move into our first news topic now. GameStop in Ireland is telling some PS5 pre-order customers that they'll have to wait until 2021 in order to receive their product. This is coming over on Video Game Chronicle, so VGC. They're just getting reports of customers who have been contacted and saying, hey, unfortunately, we don't have the supply that we thought we were going to, and we're going to have to push back when you're actually receiving your order. This could bleed over into other parts of the UK, maybe Europe, and if you are in the US, keep an eye out for this because I could see this happening here as well. Companies have gone in and they've predetermined or guessed at how many systems that they were going to have available. Here we are a week or two later on finding out, oh, the number of systems you're actually being allocated is only this many, and here's when you're going to have more. I watched a few videos the other day, and this is actually a pretty common practice. I found out people talking about how when they used to work for game companies, well, not game companies, but companies like GameStop or smaller game shops, that they would oftentimes just have to guess how many items they were going to get. So they could have 30 PS5s, they could have 10, but they'd have to guesstimate what they were actually going to get. And then they'd have to inform customers who ordered after they hit that limit whether or not you're actually going to get that. So unfortunately, this appears to be getting to be a bigger and bigger problem. I believe as GameStop informed several people in Walmart that they weren't shipping their Xbox Series X's and S's until the 10th when it launched, so they weren't actually going to be getting it until the 12th. So this seems to be an issue across the board with both systems. And speaking of services that tend to have issues, we're going to cover some Stadia news. So Engadget has reported that a Redditor got Stadia to run on an iPhone. There's been a community that's been trying to do this for a while, but a lot of them require a lot of special techniques. Well, this Redditor released a free browser app called Stadium onto iOS. And if you download this, you go in the settings, you adjust the settings, and authenticate your browser for your Google account, you'll be able to play Stadia on your iPhone. Now, reports say that this works decently. It's not incredible. Again, this is also partly limited by what your internet connection is at the time, but it does allow you to actually go and play these games on here. And this is the type of thing that we're hoping will allow xCloud and some of these other streaming services, such as maybe GeForce Now, to be able to run at some point. And speaking of other online services, we are about to get for Game Pass Ultimate the EA Play, but we now have an official date for it. The official date is going to be November 10th. So the launch date of the Xbox Series X is when we're going to have access to EA Play. So if you're out there getting your new game system, you'll have all these extra games to be able to download and add on there as well. Now, I don't know what you're into. Maybe you want to go out and play some Anthem. Not that anybody's playing Anthem anymore. Maybe me every once in a while. Sorry, I really love the flying in that game. Or you just want to go back and check out Titanfall 2. This is the place to go and do it. And speaking of Titanfall, we have a data miner who found information that possibly a Titanfall 3 in the works. So his initial tweet was taken down, but over on WCCF they do have a copy of his second tweet where he says, maybe I need to point this out. Yes, I did delete my tweet about Titanfall 3, but that was only because the tweet I quoted got deleted. Which, weird, but I still stand by my words. Titanfall 3 is in the works. This data miner has gone in, found information that indicates that the new game is being worked on and coming out. Now take this with a grain of salt. They even say that here within the article, because Respawn has repeatedly said that they are not actually working on Titanfall 3, and I love me some Titanfall. And some other things that are going on with Microsoft. The other day, they had outages that prevented millions of users from accessing Office, Outlook, and other services through their website. Anybody who uses Microsoft 365 but doesn't have access to the actual apps on their desktop or maybe on their laptop, they're on the go or something, well, this has caused all kinds of problems for them, and they went with hours. So bunches and bunches of calls going through the other day, all about how people just simply were not able to access and do their work because they couldn't get into their email. They did eventually end up rerouting everything in order to get it to run. We're seeing improvement for multiple services after applying migration steps, and will continue monitoring the service to ensure full recovery. Please visit status.office.com for additional information. So yeah, that's how they fixed it. So they rerouted all traffic to alternative infrastructure in order to get everything up and running. All kinds of issues could occur simply because their service went down and companies were not able to properly communicate what they needed to communicate on time. Speaking of outages, Schneider Electric announces the first uninterruptible power supply built for gaming, so a UPS. So if you are a gamer and you want to make sure that if there is a power outage, you have this set up and plugged in. This is something that computers have used for years. They are now marketing this and putting it towards gamers by adding RGB. I don't know how this is really going to be all that different from a normal UPS, but they are putting it towards gamers. So if you have a setup, you want to have that extra protection, and you want to be able to go in and get that RGB effect where you can have that glowing light just to your liking, here you go. And then in final hardware news, over on Wccftech, we have a leak about AMD Ryzen 7 5800X and its 8-core 16-thread Zen 3 CPU. It shows that their benchmarks leaked out that it is faster than the current i9-10900K 10-core gaming chip. Say that one. Man, tongue twisters twist tongues. So this product is only 8 cores in comparison to the 10-core system that is used on Intel. The gaming process that was used in this is primarily bound to GPU. NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2080. It appears to be used in both of these tests. We do have the Intel information here versus the Ryzen information here for the processor. And average frame rate of 77.6 versus 81.3. So this information, not quite what you would expect, but up here it has average frame rate 58.3, and down here it shows 60.3. So it's very close. I wouldn't say that this is actually beating this by any means. Take all this with a grain of salt. It says the normal bench run AMD Ryzen 7 5800X delivers up to 22% higher frame rate, but they're not actually showing that information in these hardware configuration setups. But over here they do show that using the 2080, that the AMD Ryzen with the multiple runs ran at 63, 61, 60, 59, 66, and 71. And this is for crazy at 1080p, 1440p, and 4K. And then we have a repeat of those runs. This could be just different locations. But again, a grain of salt, because this is early and even their own slides dispute what's happening in this information. So we'll find out more about this next week. AMD has their announcement for their new Zen 3 processors, probably motherboards as well, and we'll start to get that information to come through. We'll find out when that launch date is, and I'm sure shortly thereafter we'll start to see those reviews come out from Linus and Gamers Nexus and JZ2Cents and all those different places to find out how these actually perform in gaming. Thanks for hanging out. Remember, if you haven't already, click the follow button. If you're over on YouTube, make sure you click subscribe and follow me on Twitter as The Gray Falcon. Until next time, have a good one.